Hi folks, and welcome to another edition of It's Always Beeroclock. I'm Simon.
And I'm Mark, and behind the camera we have Sidekick Dave. You know, Simon, it's been a very difficult last 12 to 24 months for the craft brewing industry, and quite a few microbreweries have disappeared.
That's true, but new breweries are opening all the time, such as this one, the Blackwattle Bar Brewery in Alexandria. It's only been open about 12 months or less.
Excellent, let's go in and check it out. We're here at Blackwattle Bar and Brewery in Alexandria with the founder and head brewer, Chris Anderson. G'day, Chris.
Hey Mark, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Now, I understand the catalyst for Blackwattle was a traumatic accident. Is that correct?
Well, it was the catalyst for me getting into brewing, really, that then evolved into initially what we phrased as Blackwattle Bay Brewery over in Glebe on the shore of Blackwattle Bay. And then when we moved here and opened this place, we kept the Blackwattle and dropped the bay.
Okay, but the Blackwattle Brewery in Glebe was a garage or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this was just, I used to be a very keen climber. Did some wildly foolish things and then did some sensible things, and it was one of the sensible things that brought me undone when I was training down at St. Peter's and came off the roof there, and nothing stopped me between the roof and the floor.
Right.
So I spent a little while in spinal ward and in a wheelchair. Finally got myself out of there. And at the time I had a bouldering wall in my garage, and three of my friends were, I think, of the opinion that I would go mad if I didn't have something to do. So a couple of months later we were dismantling the bouldering wall and installing a 60 litre all grain brewing kit. We spent a lot of time in breweries trying to pontificate about beer, and we thought maybe we should actually give it a go.
Okay, had you had any brewing experience prior to that?
Not since your classic student brewing days.
Right.
Boil up a can of malt and ferment it in a plastic tub, which I do remember doing the first day I got to university, and on the second day it overflowed, and from that day on my room smelt of stale beer, which wasn't a great start to my brewing career.
No, well, I think every amateur brewer has undergone those sort of mistakes, and you've obviously learnt from them.
Yes. I've learned not to live in student accommodation.
So, Blackwattle Bar and Brewery here in Alexandria opened about 9 months ago, is that correct?
Yeah. We got our occupation certificate over Christmas, which, to be perfectly honest, came as a bit of a surprise. We thought we'd missed our chance and it would be February. Suddenly that came through, and it was only really when we got the occupation certificate and looked around and went, well, we can open, but we haven't really finished this place. We didn't even have taps on. We had a mobile bar, we didn't have much furniture, we didn't have much lighting, we didn't have any signage. So it's been a rather hectic few months of both trying to run a bar and finish a bar at the same time. Okay,
now you've already explained where the Blackwattle name comes from. There's a bit of a bird theme here as well in the branding. What's with the birds?
Well, that's really down to our designer. We had an absolutely brilliant designer work with us on our branding. And he really came up with two major concepts. The first, though, around the birds was, he really looked at it and went, well, Blackwattle's a tree. There's only so much you can do with a tree.
Right.
But if we think about the birds that sit in the tree, well, there's a lot more interest we can play with there. And he really bought into the idea of quirky, whimsical sort of branding. And so really all of these birds come from his rather inspired concept of playing with those birds and hopefully producing something a little bit entertaining.
Okay, and is there an overall philosophy here at Blackwattle?
Well, look, I think the part of the giveaway is that we're Blackwattle Bar and Brewery, not Blackwattle Brewery and Bar. So whilst I set this up because I'd like to brew, My son is my GM of bar and venue, and he used to run cocktail bars up in Surrey Hills. And we focus very much on that bar side, on hospitality. My view of it is, hopefully we become something that's relevant to the local community. Hopefully we provide a good space that provides amenity and entertainment and opportunity for bands and the like. So the focus is really about trying to be a place that people can come and have good fun and have a nice time, and hopefully in that process they drink my beer. But we're not a craft brewery driven to be a brewery tap room. We want to be able to both do that and provide good entertainment on a regular basis.
Okay, and is there any focus on selling your beer elsewhere, or is the focus on selling your product here in the venue?
Look, I think the challenges of the wholesale market have been quite well documented. It's difficult to, it's okay if you've got a really strong brand already.
Yep.
If you've been in the market for a while, if you've been in the market when craft brew was booming a few years back and got your foothold, then that's great. For me to try and get my beer in bottle shops or on taps at a price that is genuinely profitable is tough. So our focus at the moment is trying to build the venue, trying to make this place busy and popular and connected to the community. If we do that, then maybe we build a big enough brand, and maybe we get cans in bottle shops and we get kegs on tap in more pubs. But the focus really is about trying to create a venue that hopefully is connected and vibrant.
Right. Now, but we will speak about the beer. Do you have a standard range as such?
Look, a lot of my beer comes from my British background. So there's definitely a different angle there. A lot more use of Fuggles and Fuggles variant hops than you'll find in a lot of breweries knocking around Sydney at the moment. I do have the more Australian style. I've still got to recognise that those styles are popular. Things like the Pale Ale, Australian style Pale Ale, and the Nipa and the hazy pales. But I also do carry some quite distinctive English beers at all times. I've just rolled a couple off because obviously we're coming into summer, and I've started to take some of those heavier beers away. So what I've got on at the moment, I've got a Welsh beer, the Welsh Dragon as I'm calling it, based off the Fellinport Brewery in South Wales. I've got an English Pale Ale. Both of those are really to the bitter style guide, but quite different in their characteristics. I've got a Brown Ale, based or designed in part off a very famous English beer, the Newcastle Brown Ale, otherwise known as Dog. And I've got a Biscuit Blonde, which is more of a British style blonde, like a very pale ale. It's British hops. It's not a European blonde. So I've got a few different British styles, and then in amongst that I've got a hazy pale ale, an amber, which is your classic sort of more citric and passion fruit sort of finish with Amarillo and Citra. But yes, I like the idea of bringing a bit more the English characteristics through. And part of the English characteristic is also about allowing the grain to do a little bit more work in the beer. You know, when I set up my brewery, one of the key things I wanted was a steam generator. A steam generator allows me to really control the mash temperature, and that allows me to really control the body in the beer. And again, that's where all the grain characteristic comes from.
Okay, and of the range of beer that you've got on at the moment, is there one that's particularly a favourite of the punters?
Look, I've just brought the Biscuit Blonde back on after it was on all through last summer. It's very much a summer ale. It's been back on 2 weeks. That is always a popular beer. It's light, easy drinking. It's effectively a lager grain bill, so there's a lot of Pilsner malt in there, a bit of biscuit malt. It's brewed with an ale yeast at ale temperature, so in some ways it's a little bit like a Kolsch, and finished with British style hops. So that's been very popular. But you know, my pale ale is a very easy drinking pale ale as well. Sometimes the popularity is not about the ones that are easy going and everyone drinks. I think the Wee Heavy was, which is no longer on, was surprisingly popular. The 7%, heavily caramelised, slightly smoky sort of beer.
Right.
And people coming in and just coming specifically for that. They'd had it last week and they were coming back for the Wee Heavy.
Okay. Sidekick Dave will be very disappointed that is not on.
Maybe I'll check a keg back on at some point and I'll hit you up and you can come through.
Fantastic. Now, you've been open for 9 months or so. Any specific plans or direction for the next, say, 12 to 18 months, or is it steady as she goes?
Well, look, it's not so much, nothing so transformational. I wouldn't say steady as she goes. There's a lot we need to build on from where we've got to. One of our challenges to date is we want to be a live music venue. It's a really key plank of what we're trying to do. I've got an acoustic consultancy underway courtesy of New South Wales Government to look at the internal acoustic performance and the external soundproofing, and then the equipment needed to ensure that we're producing good quality music. So,
okay. Well, you've got a great space here for music. There's plenty of room.
Well, we've already got a stage. We have lots of music come through.
Now, you've got a fairly large room full of brewing equipment there. What sort of volume of beer are you capable of pumping out here?
Well, it's slightly more because I don't focus on lagers. So, as most people realise, lager takes a lot longer in the tanks than ale does. My background is not one of drinking lager. I have got lager coming through, so mostly it's ale. I've got a 1,000 litre or 10 hex brew house, and then I've got 12,000 litres of fermenter and 3,000 litres of bright tank, which would sort of let me put through about 300,000 litres a year if I need it, without stretching too hard. Yeah, so it's quite nicely set up. I designed it pretty much myself, went directly to China and bought it and shipped it in. My son fork trucked it off the truck, and me and him and the three other, my three investors pretty much all together built it. The only thing we really got outside was the 3-phase electrical. But it's nicely set up. I typically brew on my own, and I can easily do back-to-back batches. So I like to brew less often and do more. So when I brew, I tend to brew 2 batches, either of the same beer or different beer. I'll do sort of 2,200 litres in a day. Pack it up, clean it all up the next day, and then probably not come back through till the following week to do another batch.
Okay. All right, Chris. Well, thank you very much for speaking with us.
No, that was lovely. I hope you're enjoying the beer.
Thank you. We are. Okay, we're here at Blackwattle Bar and Brewery in Alexandria with Heidi. Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
Have you been to Blackwattle before?
I have, I think twice before.
Okay, and I see you've got a beer in front of you. What are you having?
I'm having a pale ale.
Okay, and how do you find that?
I really like it, yeah. They've let me try a few different things here and settled on this.
Okay, and is a pale ale your sort of normal style of beer?
I'm kind of just learning about beer, so I'm trying all different things. But I like pale ales, yeah.
Okay, well, here's to a continuing great education.
Cheers.
Cheers. G'day, Jake.
Hey, how you going?
Have you been to Blackwattle before?
I've not. I've driven past it about 50 times and always thought about coming in, but yeah, today's the day.
Okay, same for us actually. So what are you drinking?
I've got the Nipa today.
Okay, and how do you find it?
Tasty, very tasty. I'm a big fan of sour beer, and this really gives like an initial sip hint of like that amount of flavour. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
All right. Unfortunately, I don't think they've got any sours on here.
No. So, but yeah, big fan of the Nipas. So.
All right. Well, cheers, Jake.
Cheers.
We're here with Steve and Kate. Now, guys, I take it have you been here before?
No, first time.
First time. Okay. And what brings you here? Why were you enticed into this premises?
We're staying at the Ibis down the road before we fly out tomorrow on holiday. And as normal, we just look at the map, expand it till we see a brewery. and we head on up there. Rather than going to the nearest hotel, we'd rather go to a brewery.
Excellent. That's the way to go. Now, Steve, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking the Welsh Bitter or Welsh Pale Ale, which is based on the Fellinfell from Wales, and I lived in Wales for a while, so I've had a few of those, so I thought I'd give it a try and see how it came.
And
It was known as Feeling Foul.
Okay, how does it compare to the original?
Well, it's been a long time since I've had a Fellinfell because we lived there in '99.
Yeah.
Was the last time. So it's not bad. It's got the right malt and the more malt characteristics than say an Australian Pale Ale, which is more of the British style. But my big criticism, which will make all your viewers laugh, is that Pale Ales and the heavier beers are served too cold in this country. They're not supposed to be 5 degrees, they're supposed to be 8 degrees. And that, for me, detracts from the experience.
Okay. You're entitled to your opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Kate, are you having the same?
I'm having the English Pale.
Okay, now, how would you comment on the flavour and the temperature?
That's probably not as, temperature-wise, it's a little cooler than in England, where we lived for quite some time. But it's not quite as bitter, but it's quite pleasant, hoppy, malty flavour, so it's okay.
All right.
I'm normally an IPA drinker, so I like a bit of bitter and citrus.
Okay, you're going to try there's an IPA
I
here.
have tried. Yeah, we just gave it a little taste earlier.
Okay.
I'm also on a low alcohol run at the moment, so
Okay,
I'm trying to choose my beers a little
And
bit
you're
based
just
on
off.
the alcohol content.
You're just off on holidays now.
We are, yeah.
Well, good luck with
Yeah.
the low
Okay.
alcohol thing
Yeah.
there.
So,
Well,
thank
cheers,
you, guys.
Thanks for talking to us. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, guys, we've concluded our visit here at Blackwattle in Alexandria. Sidekick Dave, your thoughts?
Well, I think what Chris and the team have done is set up a great venue, and they really have focused on it being a venue of people to visit, putting on live music, trivia, lots of other extraneous activities to bring the punters in. So I think they've got a great venue for that. In terms of the beverages, good selection of your standard beers, and I think what Chris has tried to do is to introduce a couple of slightly different ones, like the English Pale Ale, etc. My favourites though, the brown, which was modelled on the Newcastle brown, really, really good. And my absolute favourite of the day is the amber. This is spectacular. So that'd be my favourites.
Thank you, Sidekick Dave. Simon?
Yes, I agree with Dave on everything except for the beers. I quite liked the brown ale and the pale ale, and my favourite was the biscuit blonde, which takes the biscuit, in my opinion.
Well, guys, the venue itself, it's quite substantial in size. I agree with the philosophy that Chris has to focus on the venue and selling beer in the venue rather than trying to market his beers elsewhere. Beer-wise, all the beers were good. I particularly liked the brown ale. The amber was my number one. The Sydney Hazy wasn't bad, but definitely the amber was my number one. Until next time, guys, remember, it's always Beeroclock.